in deceiving themselves, sat and put themselves in a situation where they are now claiming that they have elected a new speaker. It is unfortunate, and I'm very disappointed in some of my colleagues, especially the deputy speaker, who has called himself a presiding officer, even though the speaker is here, but afraid to face him and then ask him to recuse himself, which the law called for, and then proceed with the process of removal. For the sake of clarity, let the Liberian people know that if you want to remove the speaker, you prepare a resolution of over 49 people. You come to session where the speaker resides and present it to session to say, Mr. Speaker, we have these charges against you, and therefore we want you removed. The law requires that a committee, or it goes to rules and order, or if the majority so wishes, a specialized committee is set up, the speaker recuses himself from that process, and the committee reports back to plenary on the outcome, and the speaker is given a chance to respond to that, and plenary vote with a 2/3 majority to remove the speaker. Today, our colleagues have flouted all of these procedures, all of these regulations, all of these laws on our book, and say that they have elected a speaker. What is even more disturbing is the fact that this is being masterminded by people who have been here for long, who know the law, who know what the law says, and who know how to manage the law. Our country is facing a critical time. This is a democracy. For people to try to carry on a coup in a democracy, in the branch of government that is charged with the responsibility to oversee the function of the rest of the government, is telling. Obviously, we will not accept it. Funati Kofa is the speaker. He has not been removed in accordance with the law. They're sitting over there, and the entire process does not fall under the due process as prescribed by our laws, and it violates all of the tenets of law. As the saying goes, what is not done legally is not done at all. So today, I'm told that our colleagues have voted to remove Funati Kofa. Well, they are not saying the truth. That is not possible. If they have the number, they can do it, but the law calls for a process, and they must follow that process. Don't hurt our country. Don't leave the law aside. Don't flout our laws. I just wanted to make it very clear that what happened today is outside the law, it's not done. But I want to admonish the Supreme Court to take cognizance of the due process of law, to allow legality to flow. to allow the right thing to happen. Don't be afraid of anybody. We're not going to sit here and allow people to take the law in their own hand. I respect my honorable colleagues, Richard Kuhn, but I would never call him speaker because he's not speaker until he is speaker. If he becomes speaker through the due process of law, I'll support him, I'll respect him, and I'll honor him. We've lost over 100,000 souls in order to get to where we are. A few greedy, misguided people cannot take us back. We'll not accept that. We'll not do it. We'll not take it. And that's it. It's not going to happen. We look up to the Supreme Court to come. This is why they were created. The court was created specifically for what is happening now. If it fails in this, it has failed the Liberian people. If the court wants to say Funati is wrong and the people are right, let the court say it. If the court feels that what they are doing is wrong, let the court say. Let the court not refuse to hear us. That would be a bad example, and that would be dangerous to our democracy. I'm calling on every Liberian, whether it is President Walker, former President Weah, the international community, to see the manner in which our democracy is eroding and help us to preserve it. We will not allow this to happen. Funati is speaker. Come Tuesday, you will preside here. And that's it. To call yourself speaker when you are not speaker, it's wrong. Will not lie it. And what bothers me in this whole case is why the rush. Why don't you want to follow the law? Why don't you just want to come to Funati and stand before him and say, Funati, we don't want you, and let Funati say, what you say, you don't want me, and then he answer it and let us vote to say, yes, we agree with you, or no, we don't agree with you. Why? Why you want to take our country? Why you want to take our country? Why do you want to do this? Anyway, I guess the battle at the Capitol building has entered round 2. We're prepared for it. We will and must remain civil. Funati is not going anywhere. Nobody has the power to remove him. And all the security forces to stay out of this and let the law and the lawmakers deal with what is today a legal standoff. My fellow Liberians, our country has once again come to face another challenge. Something very strange, something peculiar. This never happened before. When you want a speaker out, you reach to a point, the speaker feels that he has lost the battle and he resigns. Today, our colleagues, I mean, there was the last speaker battle that was Speaker Talon. It lasted for over 3 months. Why you are so desperate to have power? To the extent that you don't want to give chance to the rule of law. This is sick. This is egregious. This is unacceptable. And this will be resisted. Finally, I want to call on the president. You have a role to play here, Mr. President. Please play that role. You are the head of state of the Republic of Liberia. Whatever happens here, whether you know about it or you don't know about it, it's not going to escape you. Whoever that is telling you to stay out of it is ill advising you. Please, Mr. President, in the 1 month that we've been in this thing, I have not seen a trail that indicate that you are part of this. Please take advantage of that and participate in it. These people will not be allowed to violate our laws. We'll fight it. We hope the world understands our position. And we hope there will be serenity. But we're not going anywhere. We're still right here. And those guys will soon realize, once again, that whether you take it up, you read it down, you put it up, you put it on the side, you carry it anywhere, that the law is the law. Thank you.
We cry for peace.
And so you just listen up to the district number 7 lawmaker of Nima County, Musa Hassan Bulletin is live. This is 961, the heart and soul of life. You are Truth FM. Welcome to this special edition of what is happening at the Capitol building, the Rigma Roll. We're going to discuss in detail. Well, we just watch Honorable Musa Hassan Bulletin speaking live. We saw post also coming up from House Speaker. Yet I says House Speaker is still on the gravel for Kofa, and the majority bloc to also declaring Richard Cohn as their new speaker. What is happening to our country? Constitutional crisis. I mean, so much to talk about this afternoon. Good afternoon, folks. All of you listening up this Truth FM. You listen up in Limba, in Monster rather. In Grand Kidman, in Lofa County, in Grand Judah. You wonder what is happening at the Capitol building. The lawmakers that you voted for. What's going on with almost a month plus, right? Want to say hi, sir. My name is O'Neill, and of course, Ansu. Good afternoon.
Thank you, O'Neill, for having me on this special. Yeah, and like you said, you're gonna be very special for what happened at the Capitol building to sit here and discuss national issues and what is happening now in our country with people who we elected going out there to represent us, to make law. And we see them now becoming to fight over power. Yeah. So and especially at this step of time,
they created a law. In fact.
Yeah, and they are the one that breaking the law. So since this incident started up to this final day, the decision of what happened in this last minute, not the escape of my O'Neill, I then started to think on the kids, our children in the future.
Mhm.
What are they seeing? They are
Mhm.
seeing people still demonstrating things that happened years back, where people were just there to validate the Lord, and people now respecting the Lord. It's just taking their own thing, running or maybe against or what administration and carrying on their own thing. So what happened this afternoon? But O'Neill, it's so bad to our country, and we don't know where we're heading to because you listen to the District 7 lawmaker Musa Benede. He said they're going to resist,
Mhm.
and all respect to
Mhm.
Richard Cohen,
Mhm.
but he's not going to respect.
Recognizing as
Yeah,
speaker,
they
right?
recognize as a
He's not
speaker.
recognizing as speaker. Yeah, so this is what happened on today. Yes. The majority block on today sat in the John Chambers, and according to them, they have a name wrote out up to 50 who have
Mm,
signed the resolution to remove the speaker. But by constitution, a country that respect rules and order, go to the main chambers, let the speaker preside. That's how it should be, right?
yeah.
Let the speaker preside, and within that quorum, you can all vote. Well, we don't want you to chair on reasons that you be speaker for us, right? If you make that number of 49.
So it's not about getting the
Mhm.
49 to sign to
Mhm.
removing.
Mhm.
It's about getting the 49 and going to session.
Yes, because the main reason here is these
Yeah.
are the people who make the laws. I mean, there's folks who in a different district, feeling somehow disappointed of what is going on in our country.
Mhm.
And one thing Musa have said, and I want to call also the attention of the president, President Joseph Boakai, wherever you are, His Excellency President Joseph Boakai. I mean, for all indication, you can say the president is involved in the removal of Speaker Kofa, right?
Mhm.
But he have to intervene because the way the country is heading, the way Liberia is proceeding now, is unbelievable.
Mm,
What we just witnessed
yeah.
at the Capitol building, and in less than a minute, and Richard Kuntu accepted his what? He inaugural speech as speaker. Can you imagine? So now the country now have two speakers. Hmm?
Yeah.
Yes, that's he went through on a white ballot. But the lawmakers, remember, you created your own law, you can't break it. If that's the case, we also want to call the attention of the Supreme Court. Because this is the higher decision body of the land. If the country continues to go into this way, anybody can infringe on anybody's rights and nothing will come out of it. But this is it. There are several lawmakers who took to the social media now. Whenever you find a lawmaker going live, you have more people trying to view because they are the one making the news now. All of the lawmakers, the 55th, are in the news, right?
Yeah.
So Representative Thomas Gosha of that resolution, the 43 names that came up earlier on,
Mm-hmm.
before reaching up to 50, Representative Thomas Gosha has said he have left that resolution. He's not going to sign it. All right,
Yeah.
it should take his name off. Representative Priscilla Cooper has also said that Rufieta Barry from District 1 and Luther Collins, Representative Luther Collins of Bapolu County. But yet and still, the majority of bloc felt they still have the numbers. They went on and they said they decided to make Rachel Kuhn as the next speaker. Meanwhile, would that happen in less than 2-3 minutes? I want you to go down to Fanati Kofa page. Kofa posted on his Facebook page that nothing have happened. I hope you're following up. I hope Liberians you're following up what is happening. I'm not here to defend Kofa. If Kofa is the goal, if Fanati Kofa, look, I know Liberian people can think so much and say, oh, these guys are not said to defend Kofa. Look, if Fanati is the goal, go to the main chambers, have the numbers, that's in for the now or that's in 50, and vote the man off in front of his face. But you can't keep the country at this kind of standstill. The people voted for you. The voters are not affected. Look, Liberians, listen up. From District 1 to District 17, monitoring us this afternoon. If you're in Limba, you're in Lofa, you're in Mangibi, you're everywhere. You are not affected. The lawmakers. If you listen to Yeka Koloba, right, what Yeka said, we are the one benefiting from this. So the longer it's still, as long as it goes, and that's how the game will be played. That's why it means that ball bounce, I mean game on. So we listen up to Musa live. Musa Bellotti have said they are going to resist any new speaker. Okay. Yaka Koluba also said they are going to resist any new speaker. If anybody feels that they have to be the speaker, get what Fonanti will preside. Guess what? And you've raised the number. And I think that makes sense because why? You people created the same law for God's sake. Just see how the country is. They are people just looking for $1 to eat. I mean, you can see it because everything is standstill. The budget is whether it's going to be a tento, that's another thing. But this afternoon, we want to have a reaction from the public. I want our lawmaker violating our own laws. Yes, I don't want our lawmaker violating our own laws. Just this afternoon, I was driving, man, and a police officer pulled me over. And I said, well, officer, he said, why is a fire extinguisher? I said, well, nothing in the vehicle and traffic law says we should have fire extinguisher in the car. And we laugh about it. On a gentleman agreement, he said, well, that's the law. That's what the law says, right? If there is in the law, our own people cannot violate our own law. This is why it's very disgusting. And who are suffering from this? You make the decision. You voted.
Mm-hmm.
So the past president and the current president still have a role to play in this matter. This is what we call a constitutional crisis. I want to advise the security force. Let me say good afternoon. Member of the LNP, Liberia National Police, the armed forces, you're still out of this, right? If this Rigman road will continue, let's watch and see, but you're still out of this. The security forces.
Yes.
Yes. We want to advise you. You're still let's see if they can be able to resolve their own problem. Because the higher decision body, Justice in Chambers, what's his name? Yamin Bese, had a conference. Yeah, he couldn't settle it. The council of churches and all
Couldn't settle.
ECOWAS came to these people and said, let's have a way forward. Get it still, we couldn't. What do we want? Is that a pay you people are giving back to those who voted for you? Look, if Fernandez is supposed to go, you have made a number and he will go. But to hold the country, I mean, nothing is working. The rate is just dropping. The team prices are just high every day. Nothing is moving on. His Excellency President Boycott. I think now the president remains so quiet on this matter. For all indication, Boycott, you don't have no hand in whether Speaker Kofa should stay or leave, right? But somewhere you have to intervene. This doesn't mean well for your government, right? Doesn't mean well. Man, yeah, man.
Yes. So this is exactly what the guys that did.
So we got two speakers and one DJ. That's a fun on the social media. Two speaker, one DJ, right?
One DJ.
Two speakers. Like bro, we always set a record. This country always sets a record. Yeah, two speaker, one DJ. That's why it's trending on the social media.
It's a North now in the building.
Yeah. So meanwhile, two separate communication came out of the house. Yes. Also, why? What that was going on? A communication came out from the speaker himself, Fonanti Kofa. He wrote revocation of previous meeting invitation. This is, so the communication are still going back and forth. So who's in charge? That is what is happening. We can't do this to our country. This country went through 14 years of civil conflict.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, with the funny news we're hearing from the Guinea Liberia border, and this is still happening. Those who expect to sit on the law, some of you I get disappointed with some folks who's defending most of our lawmakers. You can treat the country like this in this kind of manner. Yeah, man. Edwin, good afternoon. You on the other end there? Yes. Butterfly. Yes, we'll get to you. Good afternoon. Are you hearing us? Yes. Good afternoon. Okay. Yeah, you live. Good afternoon. Okay, you drive through the capital. How is it like? How's the city like? Okay, so until we can get him, but we want to get some reaction. I want to play this Musa Bulletin thing again. Musa said the lawmakers do have a key role to play in this whole process, right? The new speaker will be resisted, according to him. Yeah, all due respect, he said, according to Musa, all due respect to Richard Combs, but Richard is going to be heavily resisted by his colleague. And he went on in extension to say, the security apparatus should stay away from this and let it handle in their own way.
Yes.
The whole country is at standstill. This is why we want to call now President Boakai. You don't have interest with the speaker removing or not. I mean, by all indication, but you cannot remain silent in this matter. Even former President George Weah, who have returned from the country. All of these people who are doing it, they have various political parties. Some of your followers voted you, but that's how you try to decide to treat the country. The country is at standstill. Nothing actually is working. If you try to reach out to somebody, everybody is holding back. What do you have? I mean, let's give Musa another play again. We'll get some reaction from the public. Yes, I'm saying, I want to say to our own lawmakers, don't violate your own laws, man. Don't do it. Let's get a play for Musa Bellis again. I'm not hearing anything from the other end. Yes.
And I just wanted to talk just briefly about what is going on at the Capitol building. In a democracy, when people attempt to disrupt democracy, it's dangerous for our country. And the attitude and behaviors of our colleagues today is a disruption of our democratic process. No matter what happened in the history of this country, what happened today has never ever happened before. At no time as a speaker, sitting of it, having been duly elected, being threatened with removal by a group of people who believe that the law belongs to them. In violation of our laws that are clearly stated as what needs to be done in order to remove the speaker. What must happen in order to remove a speaker? Our colleagues have, in deceiving themselves, sat and put themselves in a situation where now claiming that they have elected new speaker. It's unfortunate, and I'm very disappointed in some of my colleagues, especially the deputy speaker, who has called himself a presiding officer, even though the speaker is here, but afraid to face him and then ask him to recuse himself, which the law calls for, and then proceed process of removal. For the sake of clarity, let the people know. If you want to remove the speaker, you prepare a resolution of over 49 people. You come to session where the speaker resides and present it to session to say, Mr. Speaker, we have these charges against you, and therefore we want you removed. The law requires that a committee, or it goes to rules and order, or if the majority so wishes, a specialized committee is set up, the speaker recuses himself from that process, and the committee reports back to plenary on the outcome, and the speaker is given the chance to respond to that, and plenary vote with a 2/3 majority to remove the speaker. Today, our colleagues have flouted all these procedures, all of these regulations, all of these laws on our book, and say that they have elected a speaker. What is even more disturbing is the fact that this is being masterminded by people who have been here for long, who know the law, who know what the law says, and who know how to manage the law. Our country is facing a critical time. This is a democracy. For people to try to carry on a coup in a democracy, in the branch of government that is charged with the responsibility to oversee the function of the rest of the government, is telling. Obviously, we will not accept it. Funati Kofa is the speaker. He has not been removed in accordance with the law. They're sitting over there, and the entire process does not fall under the due process as prescribed by our laws, and it violates all of the tenets of law. As the saying goes, what is not done legally is not done at all. So today, I'm told that our colleagues have voted to remove Funati Kofa. Well, they are not saying the truth. That is not possible. If they have the number, they can do it, but the law calls for a process, and they must follow that process. Don't hurt our country. Don't leave the law aside. Don't flout our laws. I just wanted to make it very clear that what happened today is outside the law, it's not done. But I want to admonish the Supreme Court to take cognizance of the due process of law, to allow legality to flow, to allow the right thing to happen. Don't be afraid of anybody. We're not going to sit here and allow people to take the law in their own hand. I respect my honorable colleagues, Richard Kuhn, but I would never call him speaker because he's not speaker until he is speaker. If he becomes speaker through the due process of law, I'll support him, I'll respect him, and I'll honor him. We've lost over 100,000 souls in order to get to where we are. A few greedy, misguided people cannot take us back. We'll not accept that. We'll not do it. We'll not take it. And that's it. It's not going to happen. We look up to the Supreme Court to come. This is why they were created. The court was created specifically for what is happening now. If it fails in this, it has failed the Liberian people. If the court wants to say Funati is wrong and the people are right, let the court say it. If the court feels that what they are doing is wrong, let the court say. Let the court not refuse to hear us. That would be a bad example, and that would be dangerous to our democracy. I'm calling every Liberian, whether it is President Walker, former President Weah, the international community, to see the manner in which our democracy is eroding and help us to preserve it. We will not allow this to happen. Funanti is speaker. Come Tuesday, you will preside here. And that's it. To call yourself speaker when you are not speaker, it's wrong. When I lie it, and what bothers me in this whole case is why the rush. Why don't you want to follow the law? Why don't you just want to come to Fonanti and stand before him and say, Fonanti, we don't want you, and let Fonanti say, what you say, you don't want me, and then he answer it and let us vote to say, yes, we agree with you, or no, we don't agree with you. Why? Why you want to take our country?
Okay, yes, that's District 7 Representative Musa Hassan. This is 961 FM, the heart and soul of Liberia. Shallow will be joined by Dan Sae, Dan from Arek. But this is what happening. I mean, the ordinary Liberian, you voted for these lawmakers, right? So in the space of less than a day, I'm going to put another video up. So there is a brand new vehicle that worth almost 90,000 have been bought for the new speaker. Can you imagine this? Yeah, hold on. You're trying to call, please hold the line a little bit. I'm going to put this next video up before we bring on Dan side. Dan, just hold on the line. Those of you in your various district, I mean, in less than, after the majority of blocks say they have won, a brand new vehicle with a serene speaker is already pointing with Richard Kuhn. I mean, Richard, we're going to put this video up. Yes, you're going to put this video up. I mean, this is Liberia, constitutional crisis. Downside from Aret, I mean, already saying popping through, getting online. Surely you're not getting it, but those of you listening up on the radio, this is it. Yeah, this is it. Brand new vehicle already acquired. So two different sirens now will be hearing in the traffic. Kofa also had a post where he says, well, nothing can happen. Yes, but let's see if we can bring on the Dan side. Dan is on the line. Some
So this entirety shows that it was planned. It has been planned, and this is the result that the majority wanted. This is what they've been pushing because the way he said only less than an hour, a new vehicle
cost almost 90K.
Over 90K. We want to Honorable Kuhn. So we have since the election to this time here, we are yet trying to put people together. This country has been divided. People still trying to recover. Despite the election gone. Now, those that we elected, people who you elected go to the house. They go again with a divided house because you have two speakers now. Kofa will be out there too with unnecessary.
Yeah.
Kun will be out with unnecessary.
Interesting country. Why are we doing this to our own country? Yeah, that's what you're saying. Interesting country.
Seriously,
interesting country.
It doesn't mean well for our country. We can't do this. Like I listened to the news and Musa Khan was on the radio here in Makat, and then he spoke excellent well. And what all he said is not correct because anything that's not done legally is not done at all. We just need to do the right thing. If the speaker can be removed in the proper channel, bravo to everyone. If not, the bad singer go to Liberia. They go out there to people. The bad singer come to our country, and then they say things about us when we go out there. But I pray that everything will be settled properly.
Yes, I really want Richard to put it before I join on downside. That is already online. I will appreciate if Richard can play based on our live. Yes. In less than 24 hours, we'll see the
Mhm.
brand new vehicle procure already. With horning of the new speaker in town. Why? The Fonanti block saying, well, he still presides over, I mean, the house. And I want to appeal to our security. Please set up this, right? So he said one side of the cherry gonna be two sides because all these lawmakers do have their own supporters, right?
Yeah.
And they go on the grounds of the Capitol building. So it's a normal
And
thing.
what's going to happen?
It's a normal thing.
What's going to happen
Yes.
next Tuesday?
Yes, the Kofa block have the side, and the anti-Kofa block also have their own side. So we want to appeal to the security authorities still of this. But the court, President Boykai, this cannot be happening. I think he has remained silent for a very long time on this matter. Let's link up with Downside. Dan is online. Dan is the executive director. Remember, he just came up with the scorecard, for the House of Representatives and of the Senate. So we have invited him. Dan, good afternoon, live on Truth FM.
Thank you, O'Neill. It's a pleasure joining you. It's a pleasure being part of the conversation back home in Liberia.
Yes.
I think our country is at a crucial stage. Our democracy is under attack. And so it's a pleasure joining you to discuss what's happening in our country.
Basic capital. Two sirens now in the city. I don't know. Someone need to correct me about it. Where it's the first of its kind to have two major sirens now with one title.
Well, sometimes I like to disagree with some of the assertions that points to car just coming about in a very short time. This crisis has been going on for the last probably 1 month and a half or so. And so I believe the majority bloc has been preparing because they've exhibited commitment about what they wanted to do. They kept on camp at the RLJ. So it tells you the level of commitment they had in their mind relative to the change that they wanted to make. So the issues about the car, I think it was something that was carefully planned. And so they did it because they wanted to do it. The second thing I'd like to say is all along the conversation, from the minority bloc, the conversation has been the need for the majority to fight harder if they think they are serious to meet the two-third requirement as stated in their rules and order as House of Representatives. This issue is not issue that please Liberians because when you have our democracy being, placed at risk like this, it's something that trouble everybody. The impacts affect everybody. Our international development partners, they tend to take a little biased view to see whether we mean well to secure or protect and advance this democracy. The Liberian people are concerned about what the government has to offer them. But then they also offer an opportunity for Liberians to understand more deeper what is happening within the legislature and to make individual, collective, and other form of judgment relative to whether this legislature is prepared to serve the Liberian people. So those in civil society, those in the business community, and all of us, we have a responsibility to review this process because it poses serious threat to our democracy. It undermines the structure and the foundations of our democracy. We have had this attitude over time. It is becoming habitual. Each time a new speaker come in after certain time, this time it was very, very, very rapid than the other two times that we've witnessed. So this is an issue of concern. We are concerned about how these people, our legislators, are positioning themselves so that we see them as legislators and people that we can trust to represent us, so that even our external partners see them as people who are going to represent and make laws that they can trust to do business with us, to attract investment and do other things. So today, this is of a serious concern, And that is why I think all of us must start to look at this issue so that going forward we can find a way to deal with it to prevent a reoccurrence as it is being done in this manner.
So, on the side, let's look at respecting of the rule of law. For all fair indication, these are the same lawmakers that all created the law. What do you stand? The majority bloc, the Kofa side, the countrymen is a bit confused. The social media now, everybody have now taken their own side, wants to tell who's right, whether the self-proclaimed speaker is right or Speaker Kofa. Where are we going as a country?
Well, sometimes right doesn't necessarily translate into expediency. Our democracy needs to function. The people who the legislature represent should trust the legislature. The legislatures must demonstrate responsible behavior so that those who elected them will get to trust them. I think this attitude is a bit troubling. It's not about how rule of law is being guided, but it's about the expediency and how expediency also help to nurture our democracy. To a great extent, that is of concern. I know I mean, we have rules, we have laws and other things and so forth that govern, but the aspect of rule of law that people are talking about, I hear you say 2 speakers will carry flag, will carry syringe in the street and so forth. I'm asking myself at this point, why will it be 2 speakers? Because the argument from the minority side has always been that the required law of 2/3 to remove a speaker has not been met.
Okay.
Now this has been met. 50 persons joined the majority side and they took the decision. Where then is it now breach of the law? I think what we need to do for me is to make sure that we don't have a reoccurrence of this attitude. The fact that people have been able to meet constitutional or legal requirement as stipulated in their rules and other does not necessarily mean that it is expedient to disrupt our democracy in the form and manner all of the time. After all, you and myself, with all the conversation that we are having, we do not actually understand what has triggered this particular removal. Kofa has come out to the public to explain why he feels that he's been removed or he's been attacked by the majority bloc. The majority bloc also have a resolution that is saying different thing. Now, on the overall, you can tell that the true understanding of why this action has been taken is still unknown to the Liberian public. So this is, for me, the sticky aspect of all of what we are experiencing with our democracy. We don't understand what's happening. We know that, this issue is troubling to our country and so forth. But I don't think the fact and the truth of why he was removed is still available to the Liberian people.
Great. So maybe some my colleagues will come in to ask you on the side. But I'm just listening up to Representative Musa Ability, who has called on His Excellency President Joseph Boakai. As he said, well, from all indication, well, there is no evidence that the president have his hand in the removal of Speaker Kofa. But I think it's about time now for President Boakai to come out and say something instead of being so quiet. What do you make of that?
Well, I mean, in most cases, we think everything that happened in the country, the president has to speak on it. We then, after saying that, we jump the rope and say, hey, the 3 branches are distinct. And even though they have equal power, but they can operate independently. I think this particular issues is a serious political issues. To have the president jumping into it without carefully assessing what are the variables that is triggering this matter, for me, I don't think it would have been very prudent for the president to have come in so prematurely. If the president will have to come in, I want to think it is about time that he needs to start with the legislature.
Maybe the president have a role to play in this whole saga instead of just being so quiet.
Well, the president has a role by extension. If the president wants to function, he needs to have the acquiescence of the legislature. You have a typical example of that is the budget that is now before the legislature that need to be discussed by the legislature. And in that context, the president role now has been thrown into focus. But to the extent that the president can get involved and say, hey, let's do this, let's do that, for me, it's a difficult thing. And I don't think the president sat supinely and wouldn't want to get involved. But it's possible that other people who probably the president wanted to come into discussion with may have advised the president that, hey, we cannot get actively involved into your discussions and we are not prepared to discuss with you. I'm not defending the presidency, but there are many variables behind the scene probably that may have triggered the president's silence. And so for me, this is not the first. I do not think Madam Sirleaf, for example, was jumping and discussing when the Ellis Tyler issue came about. The only thing that happened, let me go back to Edwin Snow. Snow only made allegations that, yes, it was President Sirleaf. But President Sirleaf was not on the radio and speaking on this issue. Similar thing happened in the case of Ellis Tyler. I know there were a lot of finger pointings at the presidency that the presidency may have had some stake into what happened. Those who were involved in the process, Mr. Snow pointed a finger that it was the presidency that spent the $5,000 that was used to get him out of office. But there was no profound statement from the presidency at the time that tend to meddle into what was happening at the time at the legislature. Whether it was prudent or not, that's something that I can't say. But I think the lessons is enough now for President Boagai to pick up on this issue and see how we don't have a reoccurrence of this matter.
Okay, so on the side, I want to go back on the first question O'Neill asked concerning on the serene aspect where we have two speakers. You did talk about it, but you not went in detail. Who's the recognized speaker? You want to talk about the rules and other stuff, and Speaker Kofa need to come back to the public and give full information. Why this resolution came up from his colleague, but he never gave the full information or full details of what's the law for the majority bloc. So he let another speaker.
Well, we all followed the rules of the House of Representatives that require two-thirds majority to determine who a new speaker will be, or to remove a standing or a sitting speaker by the acquisitions of 50 persons on the side of the majority bloc. Definitely meet that requirement for that removal, and therefore make it legit to recognize the new speaker, especially so if the majority bloc went into session and convened a session, obtained motion, and the overall procedures that are required to have a new speaker elected were followed, then of course I think Speaker Cohn should be the recognized speaker under the circumstances, since the argument of the minority then was most around the issues about number, and that the number had not been acquired, the 49 persons that was needed to make sure that such decisions about removal is taken. Now that that number is taken, I think the decision of the majority bloc by convening today to have a new speaker should be considered legit.
Yeah, I want to ask a question. Now the embattled speakers on the way to the court already. He filed in the writ of mandamus the other day. Do you think that such decision can be turned around, or do you see the embattled speaker remaining in his position as a speaker, or don't you think that Richard Cohn will remain as the new speaker of the House of Representatives?
I think in this case, the rule of the House of Representatives will be the basis for how the Supreme Court decides. And secondly, I do not know if the Supreme Court will decide this time to get involved into what, quote unquote, they call at the time political issues that they didn't want to meddle into. So that's something that I cannot exclusively predict in terms of how it's going to be addressed. But I suspect the Supreme Court will go back to its initial position of saying this matter is exclusively an issue that the legislature should deal with.
Okay, yes, I'm getting feedback from the other end there. Let's get some reaction from the public. Well, this Honorable Downside, the executive director of Arets Life of Us, well, on Truth FM 961. I repeat, now to Serene. Well, we saw videos already of the new speaker elect. They're calling to his own blog, the majority blog, applying Serene already through the principal streets of Monrovia, while the legitimate speaker Fonati Kofa still in charge. Also playing serene in our country. Yes. What kind of country is this? Take me now for Telon Gongolo saying. But let's get some calls from the public. Those of you following up, you can call. You've been following Dansai. You listen up to Honorable Musa Ability, who also called on President Boykai, even President Weah, former President Weah. They all have a role to play as the country is progressing this kind of matter. Yes, 0777285 to participate. Please call this number 0777285 Let's hear you for a minute. Dansai, the executive director of ARET, is live with us this afternoon, special edition on 961. Well, what is happening at the capital? Well, yes, 0777285 Go ahead and call. But we have another communication while we anticipate some calls coming through. This is notification of recession. So close to 5 lawmakers on the side. Listen up, we could talk about this before the lines open up. Who names were on that list of resolution have gone on to say, well, they are no more part of the majority bloc. So this is something they have notarized. Notification of recession. This is on Honorable Matthew Joe, hereby receive. Let me see if I can get this correctly. Zoom this. Matthew Joe, yes, hereby rescind, renounce, and rejoice. I want you to listen up to this. This is this came up almost an hour ago.
Yeah.
Rescinding that decision from that joint resolution that was signed for the majority bloc. So we have close to 5 lawmakers who have done so. So I doubt whether that number even reached 50.
So they knew that they were going to add a senator onto the current number they have.
Yes. So they have notarized this as well. This is Honorable Matthew Joe. Do hereby rescind, renounce, and rejoice my signature on any and all documents that which may appear purporting to be in support of the removal of Honorable J. Fonanti Kofa, Speaker of the 55th Legislature of the Republic of Liberia. Henceforth, no document bearing my signature shall be considered valid or authenticated in relation to this matter. And this is sealed and notarized. Another person here is Thomas Goswa, also sealed and notarized his. Luther Collins, I'm trying calling Luther, but he's not going through. Also sealed and notarized this as well. I mean, Dan, you care to comment on this?
Well, this tells that we have a long way to go in getting our democracy serve us the way it should serve us. We in our report there were a number of things and issues that we discussed in that report. This legislature today up to now is still a legislature that still remains grossly isolated from all international legislature relative to engagement, besides ECOWAS representation and at the AU and so forth. I mean, somebody has to correct me if there has been any connections or relationship that the legislature has with anybody outside of our country. It tells you that sometimes the decisions and the actions that we will receive from the legislature sometimes will be extrajudicial sometimes. Sometimes they're going to shock the Liberian people because people are not getting external kind of, experiences relative to how other people are making representation on behalf of their people. This particular latest action is troubling. If it is true, it means what is happening today at the legislature with the elections of a new speaker, then it is bogus. If this is true. Secondly, these legislators who just released this document, What if they have been with the majority bloc? What then now is triggering their action? I'm asking the question because our legislature should be an institution that we can respect based on how they represent us and how they govern. The actions of the legislature over the last time threaten the faith of our democracy, the trust that external partners should have in our democracy. And we are still going down the road creating that kind of disturbing scenario about our democracy. And so for me, if this is true, it means the actions that was taken by the majority bloc earlier on today is bogus. And if it is bogus, it should also concern the ruling government as to where it is going. What happens to the overall goal and mission of this government? How is it going to foster some of his goal relative to what he wants to do in his commitment for campaign and other things that he promised the Liberian people? Therefore, this action should now capture the attention of the president that the government is reaching a point, if not careful, of becoming a government that cannot function, a government that cannot take decision, a government that cannot engage. Because when the executive engage, there need to be some level of concurrence from the legislature on major issues that have to do with ratification, that have to do with other actions that are necessary and that require the functions and the actions of the legislature.
All right. Great. Yes, the voice of Honorable Dansai. Yes, I'm trying to see if we can get Representative Matthew Joe. Well, if we can get in through, then we'll get some calls coming up this afternoon. Right here, it's 50 minutes up to 4 o'clock. Yes, it's Edwin Battlefine and Sirleaf Oni Roberts. Honorable Dansai, the executive director of ARED, is also with us live this afternoon, trying to see if we can get Luther Collins, Matthew Joe, the lawmakers. But meanwhile, let's get some calls coming up. 07772859661. You're listening out to the downside on Truth 961, the heart and soul of Liberia. The line is hot. Let us know. Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, Odeo. And good afternoon to Liberians. My name is Isaac Dwana. I'm calling you from Gobacho community.
Isaac, go ahead. You listen up to Dansai.
I just want to tell the Liberian now that we know actually it's the problem in our country. It is the very people that we elect in the house are causing serious chaos for our nation. For us to be hearing that there are 2 syringes will be blowing. And even for me to hear from Honorable Dan saying that it is legitimate for a majority bloc to illegally elect a representative and say the person is the legal person, whereas even this person who is in the minority is also saying that they need to have no one to remove me. All of the crises that are taking place in our country, and then we're hearing cases in Lofa that there are soldiers that are in Lofa, and nothing of such is being discussed in our country. It is a big disgrace to our nation. We just call on our people to just remain calm and not watch this our lawmaker, because they will be the same person that will come back to us in the district again, will be running in the mud, in the swamp, to be voting for them while our cases are in room. Here is our community. We cannot even find a single electricity. Nothing. But the people are discussing how to remove speakers and what have you. What a shame. And I mean, I'm just sorry for our people, man. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's get more calls up. Good afternoon. Okay. This caller asked what's happening. Let's see this person. Yes. You're live. Yes, good afternoon. Yeah, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon.
We call it from Nukuta. What does Dansai said that makes you disappointed? They down said it is a majority block to recognize Richard Kuhn. Dan, did he say that? Please hold on the line, caller. Dan.
Yes.
Yes, please hold on. Dan said that you said that. Okay, you respond to that. Thank you. You calling from New Freetown. They say there are two crewmen, and Richard Kuhn and Fonanti Kofa. Yeah, two ground crew, that grand minute. Yeah, good afternoon.
Let me say good afternoon to you, Brother O'Neill. I joined the discussion on section number 6. You know, it's a very sad day for our country. To see people who claim to be educated, people who claim to be lawmakers, behaving in some manner is a baffling of us. So what is telling us now that in the house, is there a new way of removing speaker now? They're not following the constitution anymore. We'll just have themselves somewhere and say, as of today, we want to work with the speaker. In fact, we are electing our new speaker.
Two sirens now in the capital. Two sirens, similar vehicles.
It is a very sad time, and it's kind of troubling. President Boakai, I think President Boakai, there's a time that like bring people, waiting to see the experience that for which people voted for him. There's a time for him to really prove it to the Latin people that he has an experience. Because in my mind, he didn't following the rule of law. So if you claim that you like to follow the rule of law, there's a time to follow the rule of law. For the people who remain the lawmaker, let me say the speaker. So if for any reason those guys coming up, but this time to say the election new speaker, why you guys speakers sitting there, then it baffles some of us.
All right.
It's a very sad time for our country. You see? Thank you for putting me the opportunity.
Thank you. Yes, let's get down for your chance to reply. I mean, yeah, you won't respond. Listen up to the two callers or 2 or 3 calls. There are more calls coming in, but saying that, well, they're a little bit disappointed. What did he say, Dan?
Look, every Liberian who mean well for our country is not happy about what's happening in the legislature. No one that understands the role of a legislature in a democracy will be happy about the chaos that we are experiencing in our legislature. My opinion is on the basis of the rules of the House of Representatives that has always been cited in the entire crisis. The rule says the House can acquire a two-thirds majority, and the two-thirds majority can be a basis to remove and elect a new speaker. I said on that basis, then it suggests that the 50 persons whose names are purported to have signed the resolution that they use today to elect a new speaker, then of course they are in line with what their rules said. Notwithstanding, it does not mean that what they are doing, not because the rule gave them the right to do that, so it is expedient for our democracy. It is a serious attack at our democracy. Our democracy is under attack by those who are elected to protect it. Everyone agree, and I also agree 100%. Our report also articulated that. Notwithstanding, their actions is now in line with their rules. Until we can clarify the 5 persons who just came into to disassociate themselves with the resolution of the 50 persons. I mean, if the rule said majority two-thirds can take the decision, then of course they were correct. But it didn't mean that their action is expedient for our democracy. It is wrong. It is embarrassing our democracy, and the chaos that has been created in the country. They are abandoning the lot that is happening outside. People are out of food. Joblessness in the country is all over the place. We have crises at our borders. There are threats that have been reported around our borders and other things and so forth. Infrastructures are down. They are always budgeted and never implemented. And all of these different issues are issues that the citizens are concerned with. What they are doing in the legislature is an embarrassment for the Liberian people. But on the books, given what they operate on, based on the decision that they are making, that records on the book, they protect what they should do if they went ahead to elect a new speaker, provided the information just released by the 5 persons who have disassociated themselves is not true.
Okay, yes, let's get more calls coming up. Asu, yes.
077285961 are the numbers for you to call. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you guys. O'Neill, this is Hartford K. And so let me speak to Honorable Musa ability that he should be soft, in talking, because we want to see all of them coming back together and working for the interests of the country. But to talk in such a form, he started first when he said this man Kofa will now resign. You now, let us be moderate in our talking. He's a lawmaker. The way you talk will turn the other people down. But the way you be talking and acting, you adding, gas to the fire. To say he will not recognize the man, he's no speaker, and all of that, I think, is adding gas to fire. Let him lower his tone so that to talk to his colleagues so that they can see reason and come together and move this country forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, my brother. I'm not gonna talk to you.
Big boy calls.
Echo asking all the other opponent. Go ahead, let's hear you. Good afternoon. Yeah, let's say, hey, walk away. No. It's not good for us. Go ahead. You're live. Hello. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Let's say, go ahead.
And I do join you from station number 1,
Okay.
Look, the problem of our country, we have seen the goal has shown this garden. Right now, all of these knows that the cousin they sharing 25,000, 15,000 in our house, that money is sort of putting together right now and they thinking how to face our team. Right in Liberia. So now Africa will not be able to carry their current back again to about this hateful thing. So we stay there, we know that if I will have my own will, we will change all of these guys going out down there. Where were these guys there when they saw the sea racing? That Konate, he had a law firm and he working in collaboration with this guy there. And then because they see money, they buy it and they put in there today. And they wanted to do such a law. What they couldn't say it, but then they were doing it with money. All of these things are listening and came and said, look at the earliest African country today we say taking current for Africa. So they got machine and Labrador and people they don't see it, but then they all the thing that see the interest of them, but then God show them one by one. Thank you.
All right. Let God show them one by one. Let's say, go ahead.
Good afternoon.
Yes, sir, you're live.
My name is Moshas. You from which men coming to this discussion. Like other calls have said, it is very sad for our country. When you are worried, I think it's the future of our democracy. All we can say is their conduct should be peaceful. It should not escalate or reach the level where it will proliferate to its citizens. And we are calling upon our lawmakers, especially the leaders, or political far, like I said on this platform this morning, the majority are not always correct, but sometimes they take the decision. And today, you have over 40 individuals, some of whom or majority of whom voted you on the basis of to express.
Should it be in the John chamber or the main chamber? Should it be in the John chamber or the main chamber? Well, on the gavel of the speaker, if you can read the numbers, go ahead and do so.
It's embarrassing for our country. We want it to resolve that basis. But however, like you said, on the initial stage of this particular program, the intervention of ECOWAS, the religious council, and other, prominent institutions have come to talk to both sides. And they are not listening. So I think it's both our owners have gone to Supreme Court.
All right.
Okay. Thank you, Alasha. Thank you so much. Yeah.
All right. Great. So before we go back to the downside, the disappointing thing is this: the Liberal Council of Churches, the LCC, tried to resolve this matter. There was no solution to it.
Okay.
No one's listening. ECOWAS. ECOWAS said, and we getting it right?
Yeah.
ECOWAS said, let's set a team. There's a crisis in Liberia.
Yeah.
The same ECOWAS will run to over the years. I think Liberia do have a crisis with the first branch of government. Can we send a team to mediate and go see what is the way out? This ECOWAS that we all can run to.
Yeah.
The ECOWAS team came and made some suggestion. There was no one listening. The team have left the country. Why are we doing so? Look, I'm not here to defend Kofa, right? If Kofa is to be removed, well, let it be during the main chamber. Go to section, and you can make up the number. And what's how you listening up to the callers, man?
Look, let me say something. Sometimes in politics, when you are losing ground, you must understand the variables that are happening around you, and people who are involved and who have interest in what is happening to you. I listened to you talk about ECOWAS. ECOWAS has been one of the most prominent regional institutions in Africa. ECOWAS has done exceedingly well in Liberia and in other places. But in the last couple of years, ECOWAS is losing its essence and its value and the voice it should have to allow regional peace in the region. ECOWAS has gone into creating a condition that looks like a club that protects each other. And therefore, when people develop qualms in their political jurisdictions, when they think ECOWAS will step in to deal with the situation, ECOWAS doesn't do as people expect. Case is the Sahel region today. And there are other countries who also have not joined the Sahel region, but they have serious disagreement with ECOWAS over the way ECOWAS handle certain political issues in their countries. Some of the issues we are discussing today and some of the things that ECOWAS came for and could not find an impasse on, probably these things are the beginning of the greater issues that ECOWAS will have to deal with in the not too distant future. Many of our legislators and the way they behave and their attitude and the culture they have adapted and the way they even craft our budget and manage our resources and make representation, most of the learning is originating from ECOWAS. You follow what's happening in Abuja, the way the guys are behaving. So Abuja, instead of people using it as a way of making regional decisions and learning from colleagues and so forth, we are bringing back the negative aspect in Abuja, where people said represent their people and butcher their budgets and allocate to themselves and decide on what to do. And I want to say this way that if ECOWAS is not careful and don't reflect greatly to assess how its voice is diminishing, it might have greater issues to deal with. It will become an empty institutions that will have no strength, no voice to influence decisions in its members' country. Today, the Sahel region remain very, very, very unwavering. They don't want to listen to what happens in ECOWAS. They have established themselves. It is because of some of the issues that we are talking about now. The way ECOWAS conduct itself, the way ECOWAS wants to maintain democracy in members' countries. the intervention ECOWAS make when there is a crisis in that country. Look, the ordinary people have a voice. They may not have all the power and the resources, but if people feel disgruntled, if people feel there is a discontent that must be dealt with on the way democracy is exercised or supply them in their countries, ECOWAS should be a solution. But if ECOWAS turn out over time not to be a solution, but will turn out to be a group that will complicate problems, public trust will continue to diminish in ECOWAS and the way they handle crisis across the region. And so for me, on the ECOWAS issues and other things and so forth, and what is happening is something that all of us must think about more deeply. Our democracy and the issues that our majority bloc is taking is no longer an issue about me and you. It's not about an issue that concerns the ordinary Liberians or why infrastructures are not being built or jobs are not being created or people are becoming homeless and houses are not being built to make sure that our people can have shelter. It's because people want to have a bigger share.
All right. So let me interrupt you, sorry, and read this communication. There is a communication that came out from the House. This is from the Press and Public Affairs, the mouthpiece of the House of Representatives, where the Press and Public Affairs House of Representatives, November 1, 2024, yes, about 5 minutes ago from the House of Representatives. Monrovia, Liberia, the unconstitutional and unlawful attempts to undermine the leadership of the House of Representatives represent a grave threat to Liberia's democratic principles. This is from the Household, the Press and Public Affairs writing this. These efforts orchestrated under the grounds of a so-called majority bloc. I'm here thinking, so if this communication coming out, so the Press and Public Affairs still recognize the COFA bloc. Orchestrated a so-called majority bloc in tactics unlawfully of honorable lawmakers. Such action erode the credibility of our institutions and undermine the collective will of the Liberian people. According to the Press and Public Affairs, the leadership of the House reaffirms its commitment in upholding the Constitution of Liberia and the rule of law. We believe that any grievances or disagreement among lawmakers must be resolved through established legal and procedural frameworks. Are you following on, Messiah? As this situation unfolds, we trust in the Judiciary Act as the ultimate arbitrator in defending our constitutional democracy. The court must step out into restore order, protect the rule of law, and preserve the sanity of Liberia's democratic institution. As they conclude in this communication from the Press and Public Affairs of the House of Representatives, we call on all lawmakers, regardless of all affiliations, to prioritize the nation's interests above personal or political ambitions. Unity, respect for the rule of law, and adherence to constitutional principles remain the foundation upon which Liberia's democracy stands. Let us not lose sight of responsibility we owe to our people and our nation. Liberia's democracy shall be not subject to manipulation. It is our collective duty to protect and preserve it. Press and Public Affairs, House of Representatives. What do you make of this communication coming out, Dan?
Well, again, I would like to say
that is still recognized the fanatic COFA.
Definitely, that is what that segment of the legislature is saying to us, that it still recognizes the fanatic COFA bloc. Now, the situation here tells you that the problem at the legislature is becoming highly contagious. And if we are not careful, and if the government itself, led by President Boagai, is not careful and don't start to look into this crisis deeply, this could be a national crisis that will affect and undermine the functionality of the entire government. It is getting to a point for the judiciary to start to take seize, because a same political solution is not possible. if political solution is not possible, the judiciary need to come in, look at the legality of the processes to make sure that this matter is prudently addressed and adjudicated to stabilize our democracy. The president also should not sit supinely. While it is true that the legislature is a different branch of government, but what affects the legislature eventually could affect and undermine his administration. And I therefore urge the presidency, the people around the presidency, and all meaningful people to get involved to deal with this situation. Because when you have Press Bureau coming and issuing the statement, and before they came in, you have statements of this association coming from other members of the legislature, which then have an impact on the so-called majority block of 50%. If 5% is out of there, then you have a problem. That quorum that is required for them to elect a new speaker then become questionable. And if it becomes questionable,
here is another breaking news. In battle speaker, Honorable J. Fonas Dukofa files rid of mandaments over his illegal remover. And this is about 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, so it tells you that he knew that those 5 people were now with the 50 that pronounced that they were 50, and on the basis of that they have the legal requirement to move ahead and take the action and take the action.
I'm getting it. If the court declines, then what next? If this writ of mandamus is filed, if the court denies, decline, what will be the next option?
I think if the court decline, those who pronounce themselves as majority will have to revert from their actions, come together as a legislature, sit under the gavel of Speaker Kofa, take Kofa up with the issues that they have with him, and if they think they have convincing reason for which they want to have him out, they lobby in Parliament and get the number that they need to proceed with the action. But the country cannot continue to remain at a standstill like this.
Like Onu, you just mentioned about the writ of mandamus, the speaker firing. The first time the speaker firing the writ of mandamus was the time the ECOWAS representative scheme, and then there was no solution to the mediation, and then he ran back to the court. So, like you said, if the court declined, it's a serious problem also too for him. And why, in case that the majority bloc refuse to go by the court order, Mr. Suarez, what could be the next action for the embattled speaker if the majority bloc refuse to honor the order of the court?
Yes, are you hearing me?
Yes, you loud and clear. Go ahead.
Again, like I said, we are getting to the point of all hands getting on deck. You just mentioned the Interreligious Council and other groups involvement. They made attempt, and every effort that each of these groups made, they have their own reports. They have generated the causality of the problem that we have based on their individual engagement with the different groups and so forth. I think for the sake of the country, for the good of the country, if the majority, the purported majority, the majority bloc, if they cannot obtain the required constitutional number, they must see reason in the spirit of the Constitution, in the spirit of keeping our country stable, to sit under the gavel of Speaker Kofa and take on the issue with Kofa, lobby in the room, and see if they can get a 49 to meet the constitutional or the requirement under their rules so that Kofa can be removed. I think that is the way forward if the Supreme Court decline and if Kofa doesn't want to accept what they're doing. The only thing that can happen right now because they then get the defeat because they would not, they don't have the required 49. If you don't have the required 49, even though you are majority in number, but the constitutionally required number, you don't have it. So the other thing is, on the other side, the speaker must also understand that to lead and provide the leadership he needs in the House, he must have following. He must have people who believe in him. If you have a majority of the members you preside over not believing in you, for me, it instigates the cause for a wise leader to say, hey, you know what? Probably I will have to resign. And in my view, as a leader, those are options that are available on the table for the sake of the country that could be exercised. The majority agree, go in the room and lobby and remove. If the majority can't do it, the speaker must also see it prudent to keep the state safe and protect our democracy by resigning and revert to his original assignment for which he was elected by the people of Grand Crew.
Okay. Yeah, so hold on, let's get a few more reaction. It's 4 minutes down, 4 o'clock. Yes, his name is Honorable Dan Saye. He's the executive director of ARET. Let's get more calls. Try reaching out to Representative Matthew Joe Luther Collins and a few other lawmakers. I guess there are some ways somehow strategizing, but with the breaking of less than 15 minutes ago, with this communication coming out from the Press and Public Affairs, I think it's going to spark another debate within for the rest of the day. On Messiah, Edwin, this communication, this release from the Honorable House of Representatives, Press and Public Affairs, recognizing Speaker Kofa Black, I mean, it's going to run for the rest of the day.
Definitely.
Yes. So let's get more calls. 0777-285-961. With downside is our guest. Move on the monitor. Sorry, move on the radio. I'll put you through. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. This is S. Alfonso Boli, and I do join you from Jolo Town, District 2, Maigibi County. It is troubling. It is troubling. And I'm confused when I heard Honorable Saif Press said that the sitting, meaning the majority, have 50 members. So he said if it is 50 members, then it means that the removal was legit. But then again, I listened to you reading a communication. I talked about 5 lawmakers saying that they are not part of the majority. So my question here is, was there really 50 members in the section today that brought about this new speaker? And before then, the 5 names that are saying now they are not with the majority bloc, were they there after the process before they could withdraw? I mean, it is confusing. It is confusing. You see, and this does not all go well for our country, Liberia. Nothing where we're coming from. For our country, our lawmakers, people who are expect to be honorable people, to be behaving like this, I think it is not good for our country.
Okay.
And I don't know whether we have other options as electric. So I want to ask Honorable Sayi, I mean, because probably they are, rest with the Constitution, to tell us as to whether we have options as electric. What can we do?
That's a good one. Option as electric. Those of you who voted for our lawmakers, whether you do have options. Let's see if we can get another call on the line. This person coming through. Good afternoon. Yes. Are you getting me? Okay, let's see this person. Good afternoon. Hello.
Good afternoon.
Yes.
Good afternoon, and let me say good afternoon to the listening audience across from Liberia. I'm Ramsey F. Joseph, and I do join you from District number 5, Mosorado County. Look, senior brother, let me tell you something. Nobody has ever promised Fonatic Kofa to be a speaker for his lifetime. This man was in the house when he passed the resolution of Cabinet Janet. This man was in the house when he passed the resolution of Bapolo County Senator, who is Senator today, Eric Stallor, he was represented at the time, you are now a speaker. They may control a budget of 2.5 million over the past 6 years as a deputy speaker. What were the benefits, the delivering benefit? Let me tell you something, brother. Funati Kofa alone cannot down the whole government down. Do you know that now the ministry working because of this seeing one thing over and over? So nobody have ever promised Kofa to remain speaker for the law. The country is 5.5 million people. So I can one person in your house there for your own benefit, their children benefit. And so speaking now, do you know how many children go to school today? Do you know how many parents they are not able to afford for their children? That speaker children, they are not even in the country. Let him leave our power. Let him go. We don't want him.
Okay. Yes.
Hello.
Yes. You don't do this to us, man. Move from the monitor.
I'm very sorry.
Yeah.
On this Shepherd Davis and I'm going for Maggie.
Go ahead.
I was intending to Musa Benete for following the first step of the late Jalmo process. This country is a country of law. No, I don't understand. To be an honest state is different. The way you read is not how you understand it. Now, the issue is very simple. If you know this man, you don't want him.
It's up the line. If you know this man, you don't want him, what he's gonna say, come to the main chambers and make the quorum. I'm yelling myself in the background, so I'll let you go. Once you get feedback, I'll let you go. Good afternoon. Yeah. Elfie. So I hope it's good for the radio. No, sorry, don't say that out of frustration. Yes. Well, hold on. On the downside, you heard what his caller have said. It's time for military, so I had to let him go because he said he was going to say that out of frustration, and no one should hold him responsible. Let me pause on the call. Dan, you listen up to the call of what he just said, because the military, they are there to protect two things: the land, our home soil, and the Constitution. Sorry, I have to let you go. You listen up to what you were saying, where he called it from Roosevelt. Yeah,
So,
the military is there for two things: protect the sovereignty, the land, and the Constitution.
but O'Neill, this is what happened when people are getting frustrated with their circumstances, with the situation they are faced with, and the way system is serving them. So, I mean, yeah, I know, I mean, he's saying it out of frustration, but if you check it thoroughly, I mean, sometimes we engage people at community level. Many people feel that the legislature in particular and government as a whole has failed the country, has failed their vision, has failed their aspirations. If you relate to Afrobarometer studies over the couple of years, many people who responded to questions like, do you trust the executive? Do you trust the judiciary? Do you trust the legislature? Many respondents said in the negative, they do not trust these institutions. They do not trust people in these institutions. And this has been actualized by this unabated conflict that has been going on in the legislature. And for the most part, it's not just Liberians now that are feeling that way. I think internationals who come in to help us, to support us, also are feeling worried about the level of declinations of trust within our institutions, particularly the legislature.
All right. Yes. Evan, you can move to this end here. Let's move back. If Richard is out there, let's see if we can do this. Move to another call. Right here. Let's get calls coming through. Yes, Evan, you can move to this end. Yes. Good afternoon.
Yes, sir. I just have to come back. This is answer to one from Govacho. You know, to be quite frank on you, the young man that you brought off, we have to be careful because, believe you me.
Yeah, but the media is gatekeeper of the society, so I'm playing my own role.
I understand.
We wonder have problem because of Radio Kigali.
understand.
Yes.
But there are voices that have been speaking about the uniform. Believe me, they have said in street corners, even around here.
Okay. Yes. Yes. So yes.
So whatever the case may be,
Yes. So let me hold you there. I'm
that.
trying. Yeah. Thank you. I'm trying to pick up Representative Matthew Joe. Yes. I saw his recession communication that he's now part of the majority block. So on the side, downside, just on the line, it's the privilege to have Representative Matthew Joe of Grand Bassa County live mobile phone. Yes. Good afternoon, Honorable. You live on Truth FM.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Great, great. You sounds like you're in Grand Bassa or you stay in Monserrado.
Oh, I'm in Monserrado. I'm at the office.
Okay, great. Yes, thanks so much for picking my call. So, yeah, a very busy Capitol building. I read out your letter of recession that you are now part of the majority black that was also notarized. You care to speak about that?
Oh yes, I think that is. When we first, signed the resolution, so we were resignation right after. The next day, which is Sunday, about a month ago, and today we decided, to legalize that because we heard that these guys they have some motives, to forcibly use our signature. We rescinded our signature, and even the original resolution was taken away from them. That is presently at the court, the LACC, presently LACC. But what we learned is that the photocopy, that's what they are using, and they attached to that recent resolution. Of course, it is against our law. It is actually against our law, and so and that's why today you see we have a joint press conference that was presided over by Honorable Goswa from Grand Bassa, and we'll make it clear to the Liberian people that what our colleague did in the Don Chimo today by using our signature, we that resend our signature is for honor. And it is, it's illegal, and we are going to protect against that and protest against that legally. So, like you saw, that communication in your possession, yes, indeed, we did, and that was to confirm to a friend that our signature is not with them. So anything they do there, it is something that they try to force our signature, and we're going to challenge that.
Yeah. So on the Matthew Joe, how many numbers do you know the majority of block do have? Because close to 5% have similar communication notification or recession. It is on Matthew Joe, is what Thomas Gosha, is Luther Collins are also having my possession. How many do you know? Because they claim to have 50% already.
We are six in number that we send our signature. And also it's access from that 50 they have today. You might know that they stay around 44. And the same original number, they are around 44, 44. So look at they don't have the numbers, to remove the speaker, and that's why they came up with that kind of fortunate idea to forcibly use our signature. Our resend ever sent before even this process started, because when we place our signature there, at that time the legislature was still on break. Was still on break, were not open. So that was done, and when the very day when they came, to have that session when it was by Marvin Cole and other colleagues of our, that original resolution was taken away from them, which was about 47%. And so that resolution now is with the AICC. And unfortunately, they have the photocopy, and the photocopy is what they're trying to use, which are actually against our law. And so we told them that that will not be accepted. And so we're going to test all of those actions today in the joint achievement by law about our legal process in Liberia.
Okay, great. I don't want to run most of your time. What do you make of one speakership title, two Serenes? Well, as well, then Richard Kuhn is now touring the street as the new speaker. What do you make of that?
O'Neill, it is very well frustrating on the regime, on the Joseph Waka regime. There is one regime that when they were campaigning, they campaign on the rule of law. When you look at their how they call it, their agenda, I mean, their sonning, they have arrow.
The RS agenda.
The arrow stand for the rule. Yeah, the arrow stand for the rule of law. But under this regime, like the rule of law not been practiced. I think with all the following all the activity under this regime, the removal of people from that position illegally, changing position and other civil servants and all of those things. So the government proceeding and not been respecting our law, that protects this country. And that is one thing that they continue to practice. And I think that it's just bad. President Waka does not want to, see anything that attached to CDC. Probably, because Funanti has some relationship with the CDC, and that's why they try to do the kind of a process to hijack it from a position. That will not be accepted. I mean, the Liberian we're going to follow it to the letter, and the Liberian people will know exactly whether our law is actually being practiced in this country, or I mean, we don't have any other law. We don't have law against the people know it's somewhere around. So you can't just go there where the remote speaker the law.
And Honorable Matthew Joy, interestingly, the House of Representatives have taken the social media to speak out one country, to serene the entire social media as further with this. Why is this happening to our country?
Yeah, what I said now, the rule of law in the country now they have been overlooked by this regime. There is no law, again in this country. So today you see we have to speak to serene at the lower house, at the House of Representatives. So that what will be, that what you will continue to see the future, because Speaker Kofa will not resign, he will not step down. As far as we're concerned, Speaker Kofa remain the Speaker of the Republic of Liberia until the proper thing can be done. If you can new they have the normal to remain Kofa, so to come to the regular session, put their resolution on the floor. Speaker Kofa will want to recuse himself. There should be a committee set up to investigate him, and then you go through the investigation. The report from the committee will be brought on the floor, and then it be voted upon, because the report will come with recommendation whether it should be suspended or expelled or removed, and then it will be voted upon. But those things were not done. So you just heard they have report, investigation report. Who they investigated? Do they investigate Speaker Kofa? Why should they be playing phone? This country is a country of law, so we will not continue to see our democracy be treated in this kind of form and manner that other country, other international people will be for or they will laugh at all.
Okay.
So this thing will be followed up to the letters, and we'll make sure that the property be done. If so, there will be no peace at this capital building. We can assure you, we are resolved, and we're going to resist any form of violence.
I guess you close. I guess you close to Speaker Kofa. How do you see him? Do you look so troubled, so worried that he's been in battle almost a month now?
Yeah, Speaker Kofa is not worried. He's a professional man. This job is not the only job Speaker Kofa depends on. He's a international lawyer. After the job, he will still make life. He was making life before we even elected him. So he's not worried about this. The only worry is that this law, the law of this court, must be practiced to the full year. Like what was done in the past with many other speakers, he said, no, this time around, that was not done legally, but this time around, it should be done legally. He is waiting. He has been saying that if you come to session with your 49, I will recuse myself and be given time and give due process a chance so that the law can be it can be followed to the letter. But this guy refused because they know they have nothing tangible against him. All that they are claiming that he had done wrongly is all false and misleading. They don't have any proof to those things to understand before he approve it. This is why they have been staying away and they want to carry on a kind of kangaroo judgment against him. But he has said it will not happen. Today, Speaker Kofa went to the court, he has filed in a raid, and there will be many other raids because there are a lot of violations that those guys carry on. But the first one have been filed, and we look up to the Supreme Court.
As I take leave of you, how long do we intend to see this going? I mean, the whole country is worrying. There are some black who say, well, the speaker should do like this, the snow and Tyler and just say for the sake of the country. There are others who say, no, you people make the laws. You have one who created the laws. Well, there should be a legal proceeding in this battle. How long do we see this going through?
So this will continue as long as the executive want this to continue because the hands of the executive have been clearly seen in this fort where they have been denied that they were not part of it, but you can see.
You are proof to that. On the downside is listening to you. You think the executive is part of this?
Yeah, you can see when the process was ongoing and then they send the ministers to look at hearing. And secondly, they send the budget there. And you also see that whenever these guys are coming, they are assigned, police, forces within all of those things. So these are a plan of the executive, ability of the executive. So the executive have been seen clearly into this. So this will continue as long as the executive want this to continue. And two, you also look out to the judicial branch, who is the court. So if those two branches of government want for this country to be peaceful, I think they will speed up thing and the rifle thing will be done in this country. So the court, the ball is in their court. The two branches of government, that's the executive and now the judicial branch of our country. So they play in their court. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks
so
for
we can show you the election. We're not going to allow anything to happen here. Illegally, we're going to resist any action. We all them today, they say they're giving the executive, they inform the executive branch to come and remove Fanatic Cobra from your office. We are waiting them, So those violence that they don't want to see taking place in the country, I think they are breaking down, to this country, and our people are watching and they are seeing those things. So because we are going to reset them until the rifle thing is done.
All right. Thank you, Honorable Matthew Joe. Thanks so much for coming through. Well, this is Honorable Matthew Joe, representative from Grand Bassa County, District 3. Yes, you Honorable Sai, you listening out to the lawmaker.
I listened to him carefully, and listening to him, I am beginning to think that this matter is not near resolution by just the involvement of legislators in this matter. You need other external actors, including the presidency. In the first place, the two blocks will not easily accept to move across the aisle to each other. Those who are on these blocks are protecting individual interest. The people who are protecting the speaker on the majority block are there because the moment they agree to join the other people, there's a high likelihood that they will lose all their positions that they have. If those who are on the majority block accept to go there, they still remain without strong positions on committees, and therefore will not have access to what they all wish to have access to, which is our dollars.
Okay.
So on this basis, these two blocks will not easily join each other. Two, the president again must understand that this matter is becoming more contagious And if the executive get deeply infested by this matter, by standing by and looking, it doesn't show anything like, hey, the executive is trying to be prudent about what it ought to do so that it is not seen as being a part of this crisis. Because if the executive wait for long, the crisis will move towards the executive. If the executive is unable to make decisions, if the government is unable to function, because you have two dividing groups that are claiming leadership of the legislature, the executive will not function. This is obvious. So we are in a dilemma that is very, very, very critical. The only thing that can solve this problem, those who are on the minority side and those who are majority on the majority side should all behave like they represent some people, the 5 million people of Liberia.
I mean, you have
And,
said it.
yes, and
They
because they
should behave like they
represent,
represent people, right?
yes, and because they represent people, they have to follow the dictate of their rules. If you want to remove the speaker and you have not obtained the 1/3, go in plenary, honor the speaker, make your case, lobby with your friends, win more number, then you make it more legal. Our country needs to be respected by people with whom we do business. We cannot always behave this way, that will be seen as being a country that do not respect rule of law. We must know that if we don't respect rule of law or put up attitude that look like we don't respect rule of law, we are also denying ourselves investment, because investors' reliance will be rule of law in the country. If they invest their money, the court system should be trusted. The justice system should be trusted. So this thing has so much of implications that border on the survival of the state, the survival of ordinary people, and the respect of our democracy from international friends.
Okay.
So that's my take on what was just said.
On what Matthew Joe has said, right?
Yes, what Matthew
Yes.
Joe has said.
Yeah.
But the
So
thing is,
yes.
let me just close. The thing is, the majority also is under obligations. If they said they got 50, it means if they got 50 and they said they elected a speaker, they need to produce the attendance. We need to know who are attended. If they have 50 and on the basis of the 50, they said they took the action they took, then they need to be honest to the Liberian people by presenting the journal that account for people who attended in plenary today before they took the decisions and how the vote ran. I know they said it was how they call it, white ballot, but it doesn't. It doesn't mean that we cannot have the attendance of people who went there. If the issue of attendance, if they can address it and so forth, then probably there is some level of truth in what Honorable Joe just said relative to previous list that is being used now to make the case that they are making.
Yeah. So on the side, yeah.
That's people.
Okay. So let's use the last 2 minutes to close from your end.
Well, I think this crisis within the legislature again has interconnectivity with the entire governance system. The judiciary must see itself at some point down the road to act, especially when political resolution cannot be reached. The executive must know the implications, the prolongations of this crisis has on the overall functioning of the government nationally. And the legislature must know that they represent the Liberian people, and therefore their actions must consider the interests of the Liberian people, must consider the interests of the democracies under which framework they got elected as representatives, to act accordingly and make sure that our democracy is protected.
Great. Thank you so much. The voice of Honorable Dan Sai, the Executive Director, Aaron. Meanwhile, the Liberian National Bar Association host his convention this weekend. Yes, who become the next president of the Bar Association. I hope to have some some candidates from the upcoming election. The election is actually on next week, November 30th. Will become the next president, at least for one term. Yes, it's one term, 3 years. The National Bar Association convention is on the weekend. Yes, that's where I'm going to take leave. On the downside, thank you so much. Thanks for taking up your time, and look forward to see what happens on Tuesday.
Thank you. We all look forward to seeing what happens on Tuesday.
Yes. Meanwhile, two Seren, one title. So Roger Coon and I in the same block on the Gibran Freeway. He's going to use the Seren on us on the Gibran Freeway. So when I'm driving one the time, Roger Coon is using the Seren there. Yes.
And we have
I stay on the GSA road.
Yeah,
So,
so wait, hold on. So I'm driving on the Gibran Freeway, going around the Stockton Creek Bridge, the Jamaica River. I had to slow down for the majority of black speakers to pass. Then meanwhile, if Edward is going through the GSA road, rehab South Fonanti is also using his Serene, man. I speak up, man. This is Liberia.
I know.
Yes, great. Thank you. Thanks so much for coming through this afternoon on the downside with us closing us up. Let's get a break. We'll come back. Ansu and Edwin will definitely run with the UMU student, but I'll talk to you on tomorrow. You need to go on the Facebook and watch what Most Ability District 7 lawmaker. It's a 10-15 minute podcast we did on the social media. But this is our country. Let's go for a break, and of course, we'll be right back with Ansu and of course Edwin. Edwin, make sure with the speaker.
No, when the speaker
the
comes
speaker was voted for. Yeah, yes, he's going to use your end. Yeah, so I'm heading to the Gibran Freeway, and Richard Kuhn going to use that with us. So what we're going to do, back off and allow the Siri to move through. Let's go for this break. We'll be right back.
It's funny for God to go to a bank and the traffic is not easy. By the time you reach the last side, will make you scared. Hey man, how will some people train for the Christmas season?
You're here too hard. What is carrying you to the bank again? You can get tired every day, bang, bang, bang. How much